Witness stand. Identify yourself for the record.
My name is Ross Opsal.
Mr. Opsal, you have filed this claim against the defendant, asking for that the court awards you damages in the amount of $4,467.83. So, just go ahead. Well, first, where do you live?
526 South 3rd Street, Sac City, Iowa, 50583.
And what is your business?
My wife and I own and operate Tea with Lillian Sadie's Bark Bistro at 519 West Main in Sac City.
What is the name of it?
Tea with Lillian and Sadie's Bark Bistro.
Is that two businesses or is that all one?
And Sac on 6th. There are actually 3 businesses in there.
So Tea with
Lillian,
that's TEA.
yes.
Okay, and then what's the second one?
Sadie's is CEDES. Sadie's
All right.
Bark Bistro.
Park Bistro.
Bark.
All right.
And Sac on 6th.
SAC on 6th.
Yes.
All right. So these 3 businesses are all located within the same building or
Yep.
same area? All right. And then what is the relationship here with Mr. Scuito?
Our relationship started when Scuito approached us and asked if he could set up a pizza kitchen in our kitchen when we weren't using it, and we agreed to that. Then when Kelly Lake left she was managing the bar for us. When Kelly left the bar, Scuito said that he would run the bar and run the pizza since he was there at the same time. We entered into a purchase agreement wherein he was going to purchase the building over a 4-year period. We reached a point where
So she was your bartender at what?
at Sadie's Bark Bistro. The liquor was purchased by us. The liquor license was in our name. The dram shop insurance was in our name, but she managed the bar for us.
All right. And so then the agreement was that he was going to do what?
He was going to continue to manage the bar, although the liquor license continued in our name until he could get it switched over to his.
Okay.
And he was going to purchase half the building over a 4-year period.
All right. And what were the payment arrangements?
We reverse engineered it, and it ended up to be $381 a month.
So the 381 was the payment on the building?
Actually, it would be building, equipment, and merchandise. Inventory.
And so did you actually take then a physical inventory?
Prior to,
Yeah, when you entered into this agreement with him?
we had a pretty good idea of what our product was. We had just purchased alcohol for Kelly, and so we have those receipts. We had a pretty good idea what that was.
Okay.
We also, allowed full use of kitchen, and we shared the bathrooms, and there was also some inventory that Scuito used up, and he was keeping track of along the way.
Okay. So was there a written agreement?
Scuito said that he had done this before in Omaha, and that he would provide a purchase agreement We met with Kevin Murray. Kevin Murray gave us a boilerplate purchase agreement. We shared that with him, but we never got a signed purchase agreement.
So you presented a purchase agreement to him, but he did not sign it?
We didn't fill it out. He was gonna provide one for us, never did. So we went and got a boilerplate one, provided it to him, never got filled out, never got signed.
Okay. So basically Kevin gave you a blank form.
Right.
All right. So how did we get to the point we're at today?
Now they reached a point where Scuito was falling behind on his bills, and he approached us and said that he would like to use his purchase agreement money to pay off those existing bills, go into a true rental agreement until he got his feet back under him, and then he would reestablish, or we would reestablish the purchase agreement arrangement.
All right.
So this, so what this is the Cisco bill is where we get our products from. When we worked with Cisco, our representative was Becky Loft, and Becky Loft would never sell us product for the following week until we had paid off the bills from the previous week. And so we were never in arrears when we worked with Cisco. When Scuito took over, Becky left and the new rep was Jay. Somehow Jay allowed Scuito to amass the 182128. I've had conversations with both Jay and Cisco and said, we didn't place these orders, you didn't talk to us. The account was in our name, but the bill belongs to Scuito. And they said, nope, it's in your name and we're going to take you to court if you don't pay it. And so we went ahead and paid the 182128. The MGM bill 30666 was on May 12th. I called, just previous to that, Travis, who was
May
Scuito.
12th of 2016?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have a copy of this Cisco bill?
That's the Cisco letter, Exhibit 2.
All right. I didn't even look at the
Okay.
exhibits, so.
All right.
What is Exhibit 1?
That is the Exhibit 1 is just the list of bills.
All right, so that's the ones that total 4467.83. What is 2?
2 is the Cisco letter saying that they were going to send us to collections if we didn't pay the 1821-28.
All right, what is 3?
3 is an MGM bill for services done when there was spaghetti that was shoved down the disposal and it plugged it up and needed to be called in. And actually, at that time, told both Scuito and Randy Muggenberg that that was going to be Scuito's bill, but in subsequent conversations with Randy, no contact made, no effort to pay it, and so we decided that it wasn't MGM's fault, and so we decided to pay the MGM bill.
That was for 306.66.
306.66.
And what is Exhibit 4?
Exhibit 4 is really our spreadsheet. It was a letter that I dropped off out at the farm on July 18th that showed just our spreadsheet of where we think everything fell. And It starts back in the original, from the original time that we started working together up until the end. This particular case, to me, just involves April and May. After we had done our purchase agreement thing, he wanted to pay off his bills. We said fine, but the Cisco bill was still his, the MGM bill was still his. And then Ecolab is the commercial washer that's located in the kitchen. It was there before we started, it's there now. It was part of the purchase agreement, it was also part of the rent. We weren't using it, and so, at that time we said 100% of Eco was Scuito's. Randy's is Randy's refrigeration. It's the commercial ice unit that sits in the bar. We weren't running the bar. We weren't really using the ice. It was part of the establishment, and Scuito said he would pay 100% of that. Mid-American is the electric bill. There are 2 months there, 320 and 327. SAC Utilities is the utilities bill. Because we were still in the building and because we were still using SAC on 6, we agreed to pay half the utilities bill. MediaCom are the television sets and the internet that's in the restaurant and bar. We weren't using the bar, we weren't running the bar, we weren't using the TV sets. Scuito said he would pay the MediaCom, and the rent that we had talked about was $150 a month. $150 a month plus whatever those other expenses were for April and May, and that would be rent.
So the 588.07
is two months of 294.02, April and May.
All right.
The complication in this whole thing is we started this arrangement in April. In mid-May, Scuito said that he had medical issues. He was going to go down and have some tests done. They did not go well. He came back and said that Sunday night was going to be his last night, and then proceeded to either move to Omaha or move to Des Moines. We never really had a forwarding address and didn't really have contact after that.
So when he said Sunday night was going to be his last night, what was Sunday night? What was the date? Do you know?
May 24th, if that's a Sunday. It was the last week in May.
I just turned my calendar around to get 2017 up there, so. It was the last what day in May?
It was the last week of May,
So it's the last Sunday in May would have been the 29th.
okay? And then we didn't get our keys back for a while. We really didn't know. What we were telling people was what Scuito said we could. I asked him, can I tell people, yes, you have medical issues, and that you plan to reopen. You temporarily close due to illness or whatever. And we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. In the next week, he decided he wasn't coming back because he had cancer, was going to be taking cancer treatments, and so he left the keys on the front door. I contacted his employee late, in the first part of June, and got the keys back from Travis. And then at that point, we had, I think Denise had one phone call with him. I had a couple of texts with him. I dropped off a letter, and we never heard anything from him. His Facebook went blank. Nobody knew where he was until in October there was a school group that went to Iowa Central Community College, and went through the culinary department and happened to notice that Scuito was there alive and well.
What, taking classes or teaching?
They were on a tour of ICC and happened to recognize him.
He was on the tour also?
He was working at ICC in the culinary department
That was
when
my
people
question,
from
whether
Sac
he
City
was working
recognized
there
him.
or what he was doing.
And then on November 8th, there was a teacher from Sac City who happened to be behind him in the election when they were both voting on November 8th in Rockwell City. And so at that point, once again, he was alive and well, probably living in Rockwell City. We hadn't heard a word from him, hadn't returned any of our calls, and so that's why on November 12th I filed a small claims.
So you want to offer exhibits 1, 2, 3, and 4, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any objection?
Yeah. So just to call into question your accounting abilities and your record-keeping abilities, you stated to the record that they were monthly payments that I paid towards you, $381 monthly and $150 monthly. In fact, those were weekly.
Weekly payments.
That is just to prove that your accounting, your process is not correct.
Question is
on
whether you have an objection to any of the particular exhibits. So if you want to.
Oh, the exhibits, no, I thought I was able to cross-examine it this time, I
So-
apologize.
Give me 1 through 4 then. So 1 through 4 are received.
And so with Exhibit 4, if you take a look at inventory that was used, if you take, I didn't include inventory that was used, I didn't include equipment that was missing or damaged. I tried to keep this as simple as I possibly could
So,
and focus on April and May.
so once he left, did you leave the bar closed?
The bar is now closed.
It's never been reopened.
Part of the problem was Scuito was going to get the liquor license in his name, missed the deadline, and with a liquor license, the dram insurance, the city council, and the Bureau of Alcohol all have to be at the exact same time, and so we were not able to renew the liquor license. We had to apply for a brand new liquor license to get all three of those things in alignment.
And so you have not done that.
We actually started the process, we didn't finish it, and so we're currently not operating a bar in that location.
What are you operating now?
It's currently a quilt shop.
All right, do you have anything else that you wish to offer before he cross-examines?
No.
All right, Mr. Scuito, you may cross-examine.
All right. You said there was no contact until I was found, so to speak, but I have got emails
The
and
question, the
texts.
thing we need to focus on, I don't think whether there was contact or not has a whole lot to do with anything. The question is whether these are your bills. And so that's,
The meeting-
that's what we need to focus
The
on.
meeting in April took place on April 27th, correct?
I don't know.
Okay. No documents were ever filed, nothing was ever signed, it was all hearsay. At that point in time,
It's not hearsay, there's just no written document.
well, it was hearsay as far as what his wife and him had talked about because they weren't together on this. They were separate.
Yeah, well, the question-
I would speak with
the question
Denise and I would
is-
speak with
The question
Ross.
is whether or not these are your bills. I mean, did you go into to possession of these portions of this business and order these things that were delivered by Cisco totaling $1,821.28? Was the garbage disposal plugged up during your use of the property? Were these other bills incurred during the time that you were running this business and keeping all the receipts versus
The portions?
versus, and I'm assuming when your previous bartender or whatever she was, Kelly Lake, was running the place, that she was getting paid some kind of a salary or something like that. So if you went into possession of the business and ran the business and took the receipts, then, you know, these bills are probably your bills. So that's gonna be my focus here. I mean, I don't
Okay.
care whether there was something in writing or not in writing or whatever. If you were in possession of this business, you were running this business as your own, you were taking the receipts, that type of thing. That's what we need to focus on
Okay,
here.
well then no, I've got nothing for him, and then I'll explain everything whenever I
All right, that's
testify.
fine. And I can put him back up later,
Okay,
but I think that just probably would be a better way to do it, to get his story, get your story, to the extent that they don't jive.
fair enough.
We'll work through that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So you may step down. Mr. Scuito, come forward, raise your right hand. Swear the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth on the penalty of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Take the witness stand. Identify yourself for the record.
My name is Sando Scuito.
Just 1 second here, I need to just get. Try to take good notes. All right. So, Mr. Scuito, we've heard from the plaintiff here, and I'm gonna keep you on track. He says that his previous bartender, what he says is that at an earlier point in time, an agreement was reached between you and he, that you were gonna run a pizza business out of this property that he owns, using the kitchen during periods of time when they were not using the kitchen. So first, I've asked, is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. And I'm assuming, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I'm assuming you were paying the expenses for the ingredients, that type of thing that went into the pizza.
Correct.
You weren't using any of his ingredients.
No,
Where were you getting your materials from for the pizza?
from Cisco and then from a place called Northern Lights in Fort Dodge.
And did you have your own account at Cisco? Or
No,
were they-
no, it was strict from the Opsals themselves that they were to keep everything in their names. They were very adamant about it. They had other businesses going on inside the building, so they were very adamant about having everything go through them. Because what Ross didn't mention was they had to reach a $500 amount in order to get a delivery. Their businesses that they had in place were not hitting that mark, and so they were getting
$500
per delivery.
per delivery, okay?
And they were unable to do that, so by me joining with them, or we putting ours together, we were able to hit the $500 mark, which gave them ingredients and
So
product
when did you first start running the pizza business there?
in February.
2016?
Correct, yes.
So let's talk about the Cisco bill first.
Okay.
He's claiming that you charged $1,821.28 to Cisco that you didn't pay for.
That is incorrect.
That is incorrect, you're saying.
Correct.
All right. Are you claiming that you didn't charge anything that you didn't pay for, or are you claiming that it's a lesser amount?
That it's a lesser amount.
What is
The correct
Correct.
amount is $1,281.
1,281?
Correct.
And what items, I don't know if I have an itemized.
I wasn't able to get an itemized as well. All I was given was the amount.
Okay. you do admit that you owe $1,281.
Up to that point, to see, April 27th, we had a meeting. And in that meeting, it was stated that we were not able to continue on the way that we were continuing, the meeting that Rob spoke about. And then we were only in business 2 weeks after that. So it would have been, all of his calculations are incorrect, because it would only have been for 2 weeks after the situation had taken place, where it absolved all of the previous debt. That was what the meeting had, that was the solution at the end of that meeting. So going forward, from the 27th of April forward, it was $150 a month or a week rent, and then 1/3 of all the bills other than the rent itself, because there were 3 other businesses existing inside of the building at the address.
Well, as of April 27th, were these other businesses buying things from Cisco?
I guess in a way you can say yes, because they would purchase things, whether it was for their business or for themselves, they would also purchase things on the Cisco bill.
Personal items, you're saying? Okay. So you guys be ready to respond to that?
That's,
Okay.
that's fine, because after
So-
we met,
You know, well, go ahead.
after we had met and everything had dissolved, I had spoke with Ross about getting together and hashing out the details through email, through text, so on and so forth, for quite a few weeks. And then, let's see, at 8/17, as part of my exhibits here, I received a text message,
Okay, which exhibit are we talking?
101.
Okay. So 101 is a text message dated, what?
8/17/2016,
That is a text from,
Denise Opsal.
okay,
And the text stated, if you were able to just pay the bill for cleaning out the sewers or the drains to MGM, we will forgive the remaining of the debt. And then on, so my exhibit 102 is a text from Ross on 8/22,
okay,
asking me what the repayment plan was, and I forwarded him the text that I received from Denise, stating that if you were able to pay the bill for cleaning out the sewer or drains to MGM, we will forgive the remaining of the debt. I then spoke with MGM. They wouldn't give me the amounts because the bill wasn't in my name. So then I left a message on, I believe it was Denise's phone, about I couldn't get the bill, I need the bill, I will be happy to pay it. And she later responded to me, because she responded to me what's going on with it. I told her that I was trying to get it taken care of, and she responded with, we'll take care of it then, and then a long email of,
what exhibit is that?
that's not an exhibit, that's just a testimony.
Okay. So you've got 2 texts, 102, 101 and 102.
Correct.
Okay. What is 103?
103 is an email, and it is pretty much, it was because I couldn't fit it all onto one page, but it was proof that I received an email on the 18th from Denise Opsal.
The 18th of what?
Oh, I'm sorry, of July.
Okay.
And that was just stating that Ross does not speak for the both of them. Make an effort to pay what you can be and be on your way, and so on and so forth. That email was offered into evidence just as proof that Ross does not speak for both of them, that you know, it was between the 2 of them back and forth that I had to deal with.
And what is
that I went
104?
with. And that was, 104 was the second email, the second part of this first email.
You've had a chance to see these documents?
No.
Right. Why don't you let her see them? Meantime, I'm gonna make myself a cup of coffee just because I've got a cold in my. All right, so we're back on the record now. The plaintiffs have had an opportunity to take a look at defendants exhibits 101, 2, 3, and 4. Do you have any objection to those exhibits?
No.
All right. those 4 exhibits then are received. You know, so I guess kind of, I need to know a little bit more background from you, Mr. Scuito. It's my understanding you were diagnosed with some type of medical problem, whether it was cancer, whatever it was, and you left, is that correct?
Left as in the situation
Left in
in the
this-
Opsals?
You left this area?
No,
Okay, so you still living in the same place you always lived?
no, I lived on a farm in Sac, and then so it would have been late September, October, I moved to Rockwell City.
Okay. Did you give them any type of, did you give them your address where they could get a hold of you?
No, but we had spoke through, my phone had never changed, my email had never changed, which was the way that we had contacted or been in contact with each other for the last 3 to 4 months.
All right. So when do you claim that you, no? When did you start the pizza business?
In February.
And from February then until, when do you claim you took over the bar?
Beginning of March, I would have to say, or maybe the end of February. The pizza place had only started, or only would have been there for a couple of weeks before fallout with their bartender not wanting to be there anymore. One of the reasons why, I mean, you don't want to spin out of control,
I
so
don't
I
think it's.
mean, yeah, it was not pertinent, but
So,
then we had a meeting April 27th where the weekly payments that I had paid of $381 every week resolved all of the debt coming up until that week, the 27th. And it was agreed upon all 3 of us that we would start with a clean slate going forward from April 27th until mid-May, was the 2nd week of May. I went to Ross the Thursday before and explained to him to what reasons why I wasn't going to be able to do that anymore. But we needed to come up with a, you know, if we were going to stay open, what could we do? And we were going to reconvene that following Sunday, which I guess I can give you.
so there was a meeting on April 27th. It was agreed that, you know, your version of the facts is, it was agreed at that time that you were current at that time.
With all the payments that I paid through, we were going to apply those towards past due bills. Because at the beginning of it, Ross would come to me and he would give me a bill and I would pay it. And then 2 months went by, Ross wasn't coming to me with the bill, so they went unpaid. And so then we had the meeting on the 27th that took care of all the bills that were prior to that had occurred. And so then on the 27th, we had made the agreement that a third of all the bills would be mine, and $150
On the
a week rent
27th
of April.
the agreement was what?
That I would pay,
So the agreement was, at that point in time, you were current?
yes, because of all
That's
the.
what you're saying?
Yeah, because of the 381, which was my weekly payment to them for the business. I was no longer in a purchase agreement. We canceled out the purchase agreement, so the 381 payments that I had paid went towards satisfying the amounts of the bills. So in other
I
words,
mean, did you have a discussion about what the bills were up to that period
yes,
of time?
Ross had sat down with me and we had gone through invoices, gone through checks, gone through everything, and they still made out with, I believe, or not made out with, but they still were in the plus of about $1,200 from my 381 payments. So we decided
So,
that,
plus or minus, I mean, you were $1,281 short, or?
Plus, it
You
was,
had $1,281
right,
credit?
and so it was taken as, I just took the hit. That was money that I had lost, and we were going forward with a rental agreement. So at the beginning of the day, on the 28th, amounts owed was 0, except for that weekly payment of $150.
Just a second. I timed out on this computer, which is where I have the bill. So then, what is your claim then going forward after April 27th? What the situation was supposed to be as far as paying Cisco for materials that you used? Had the MGM bill, first let's just talk about Cisco. What was this situation? You were supposed to pay Cisco, weren't you?
Correct.
Did you?
No.
But is it your testimony then that the amount that was claimed
Is it correct? Yes.
it should be 1281?
Correct.
All right. Not the 18, 21, 28? All
I
right.
spoke with the Cisco rep, who,
Now we are in the hearsay, so. But go ahead, what?
well, just that I would pay $50 a week to absolve the 1281. And he said that would be enough to take them out of collections, because they had been in collections, and the rep would take them out whenever they would apply a bill, whenever they apply a check. So the order would come in, let's say on a Wednesday, we would give them a check for that order, they would take us out of collections, they would apply that money to the account, and that would take us out of collections. And that was something that Becky Loaf
So
had been
you had a
doing.
$1,281 arrearage at that time?
I don't know what their arrearage was, because it was in their name. But Becky Loaf, which was the representative, and then Jamie was the representative, both of them were in the practice of every time a truck would come in, they would take the Opsals out of collections by applying their payment. So what their balance was that put them into the collections, I have no idea. I was not privy to that information. All I knew is that every week whenever they would come, I would give them a check. They would take them out of collections. The next day, the truck would come. And that was the process that was explained to me by Becky Loaf, because whenever Jay had taken over, that did not take place. They were put in collections because she wasn't there to take them out, so I wasn't able to get a truck order. So then we had to explain to Jay what Becky had
So
been
where'd you
doing,
come
so
up with,
he,
how'd you come up with the 1,280?
because it's 2 weeks of truck.
What weeks?
The week following the 27th of April, so it would have been week ending 5/6/2016, and then the week ending 6/13/2016. Business was not done
The second one was the week ending what?
6/13/2016.
May 6th and 6/13?
Or, I'm sorry, 5/6. 5/6 was the first week, the second week was 5/13.
5/13, yeah. And then after 5/13,
We didn't receive it, we were only in business one more week, and we didn't receive a truck because there was plenty of product, there was no need or no call for a truck that week.
so you stopped doing business when?
The 21st of May.
Okay. And with regard to this bill to MGM, do you agree that that's your bill?
Yes.
And then ECO, do you believe any of that bill is yours?
No,
And why?
because I asked to be able to renew the contract or go to a different contract so that I wasn't paying so much. They said no, they wanted to keep it the way that it was. That was part of the rental then at that point, of the $150 a week. Same with the ice machine, because I wanted to bring my own ice machine in.
Did you have an ice machine?
Yeah, that was through Randy's Refrigeration. And those are both items
But
that
I
they
mean,
wanted to keep.
You were renting an ice machine from Randy's?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, all right. But you did not have an ice machine?
No,
that
I
you
wanted to
owned
put one in.
bring
Yeah, I did. I did,
You did have one?
yes. And they wanted to keep theirs in place. They were very adamant about keeping everything that they had there, from the bills all up to the equipment,
And you agreed to that?
until the rental agreement. And that's whenever I said, I don't have a use for this because I could bring my own in. And that's when we discussed not paying that and only doing a third of the bills because there were 3 other businesses.
So you're saying that the agreement was you would pay a third of the utility bills, MediaCom?
Correct.
Were they, I mean, the TVs weren't being used by their businesses, were they?
But that was still our agreement. Because Ross would come in, read his paper when we weren't open, watch the TVs. Denise, she would entertain people over on that side, once or twice. I mean, they still used them. And so, I mean, that was our agreement, was that I would pay 1/3.
And the rent was to be $150 a month, is that right?
A week.
Or, I'm sorry, a week. So how much rent do you think you owe?
I owe him 2 weeks.
So $300.
Correct.
So you're not disputing that amount? Is that right?
Correct.
And so the Mid-American bill, the SAC utilities, and the MediaCom, I'll find out for sure whether, I mean, they're saying you owe all of the Mid-America bill and all of the MediaCom bill, as I understand. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And you're saying you should only have to pay a third of each.
Right,
of
that was
those.
our agreement.
What about eco? You're saying you should pay none of that?
Correct.
Pardon me. So Mid-America, SAC, and MediaCom, you say a third of each of those, is that right?
Correct.
But I'm just trying to, I'm not trying to give anybody any indication of how I'm gonna rule. I just wanna make sure that I know what your claim is. All right, anything else?
No.
You wanna ask him questions, or you just wanna get up and refute what he says?
We can refute.
All right, I'm gonna close the record for a minute. I'm gonna read those emails, texts. Finish up. All right, you may step down. gonna testify? Come forward, raise your right hand. Swear the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth under penalty of perjury.
I do.
Take the witness stand and identify yourself for the record.
Denise Opsal.
Ms. Opsal, I guess first, those appear, I've handed the witness exhibits 101 through 104. There appear to be some texts and emails there that appear to have come from your phone and or your computer. What do you say about that?
I would say that they were very selectively chosen out of a slew of emails. He did not include any of the communications prior to these where after being told he was dying of cancer and could not afford to pay anything at all because he was in treatment and his kids were upset and all these things. And after reaching an extreme sense of frustration, which is not indicated by these because he only excerpts those which were benefit to him.
I have proof of all emails, Your
We
Honor.
do too.
Just a second, you can't interrupt.
Sorry.
Anyway, and after exhaustive efforts, Ross went out to the farm to try to talk to him in person, and although his car was there, he did not answer the door. And so to try to just get this off of our plate and move forward.
Well, maybe we ought to just take a recess here, and I can send you back to my office and see if you can settle. You got any money to pay him?
I believe that I should pay the MGM bill after them stating in August that they would resolve the rest of the debt if I took care of the MGM bill. I'm willing to take care of the MGM bill.
At this point, that's not going to be sufficient. And is an implication that we were continuing to use Cisco, the products that were purchased for his
So,
business were strictly
we're
his.
gonna talk about that, I'm gonna close record on that part of it. All right, we're back on the record. The record should reflect that I'm sorry, I did not write down your first name.
Denise.
Denise. That Denise Opsal is now, has now been sworn. As I understand your testimony that you've given to this point, you're saying that you're not denying that these various emails and texts were in fact sent by you. What you're saying is that they are sort of out of context here because you had been led to believe that the defendant was likely terminal with cancer. Is that correct?
Yes, that is what we were, yes, that is what I was told.
I was stage 2 when
I'm not gonna let you talk. You can testify again.
Okay.
So your testimony is that you understood the defendant to tell you that that his cancer was ultimately going to be terminal, and within, when I say ultimately, within a relatively short period of time. Is that correct?
Yes.
And with that in mind, then you did try to get the thing resolved.
Yes.
All right.
It's also my statement that he was not receptive to meeting or getting together to have a discussion, and that his perception of the final agreement was much distorted.
And that's one of the problems with not having a written agreement.
I had one, he did not sign it.
So
He wouldn't
your
sign any of
husband's, your
them.
husband's testimony was that he got a blank form from Kevin Murray, which, as I understood it, was never filled out.
Actually, that's true. However, I went online and just went to a lease purchase agreement and did fill it out totally, and brought it to the restaurant, his restaurant, and it was never signed. He was asked to get his name on the Cisco account. He never did that. He was the only one.
So I'm not sure if you were here when he testified.
No, I was not.
But what he testified to, I'm not talking about your husband, I'm talking about the defendant.
Oh.
He said that in order to get deliveries made to the businesses,
It
there was
was-
a minimum $500
That
per
is true.
delivery.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
true. However,
And therefore, in order for that to take place, you both needed to be on, I mean,
if you look at it, do you have the,
That's part of the problem. Scuito got
just a
all.
second.
Can't do it, can't.
okay, just a second, okay, I'll go back to how it works with Cisco, and has worked this way with us from ever. We were never on collection. You make your order on Tuesday, delivered on Wednesday. The following Tuesday, Becky came in to get the next order, where she received the check for the following order. We were always 100% paid. So we
So
placed the order.
on Tuesday, you would pay for the previous Wednesday's delivery.
Absolutely.
In full.
In full, absolutely.
And at that time, then you would put in your order
For
for
the
next
next
week's
week
delivery.
or not, depending on whether we needed it. And then she would come in, and that was paid if we had an order,
She came every Tuesday?
every Tuesday.
Okay,
And if not,
so you didn't necessarily order something every Tuesday?
exactly. When Mr. Scuito started the restaurant, the orders came in and they were his orders, and he was to pay them the following Tuesday. If there were a product on there, which was very rare, but if there were a product on there that we needed, we paid that amount, and the rest of it was his to pay within a week. However, we had established an incredible record of paying, so they kept shipping orders to him, and that is where we got into arrears and on collection. We were never on collection when it was our
Did you
business.
tell Cisco to put the account in his name?
I had, but he never signed he had to fill out the agreement and sign it. He had to qualify for his own credit. He was using our credit rating to continue his business. He never, and it was not the responsibility of us it was his responsibility to fill that information out, get it back to Becky or Jay,
Well,
and get the account in his name.
probably was your responsibility to make sure your name wasn't on
We were trying to be supportive of him being able to continue his, start and
Understand
continue. And so I really feel that, I feel very cheated and abused as far as Ross and I's good credit rating, our willingness to let him use our facility as well as our equipment. He also had told me that he was going to keep it really clean. Anyway, I would come in and it was absolutely a disaster in the kitchen. And I would clean it, and he would come in and say, oh, I'll pay you $20 a week if you just clean the kitchen. And well, I never saw any of that either. And I did not react to you that way.
Judge.
All right, do you have anything else you want to say?
I just feel that Mr. Scuito absolutely knowingly lied and took us to the cleaners.
Okay, is that it?
Yes, thank you.
Questions for her? All right, you may step down. Mr. Opsal, you have more that you want to testify to? Come on.
I don't know if, you know.
And one of the things that arose here was a question about, you know, the Cisco bill, and the fact that you have not.
And I did want to address that one.
Right.
With the Cisco bill, part of the problem was we didn't get the bills. After Jay got involved with Scuito, Scuito got the bills. We didn't get them, we didn't pay them, we didn't see them. When we were doing it the other way around, I always made a copy of the bill, checked what we paid, checked what he paid, and gave him a copy. So that's part of the problem with the Cisco bills. And I was curious to know.
Just a second.
Okay.
So when did the bills quit coming to you and start going to Mr. Scuito instead? Would it have been right when he started doing
It would be,
pizza
yeah, it would have
business?
been, in February, Becky left, Jay started, and at that time, we weren't in the restaurant business anymore. And we were operating Sac on 6th, and we just weren't. And we were.
Sac on 6th is what?
It's a meeting room in the back, and this will muddy and muddle the thing, but our 1/3 of all bills doesn't make any sense. There are 3 businesses, but at best, it would have been half and half, because half the building consists of Tea with Lillian and Sac on 6th. The other half of the building is Sadie's Bark Bistro, Scuito's Pizza, shared bathroom, shared kitchen. So 1/3 wouldn't make sense. Half would, but we didn't even agree to that. You know, we agreed to basically what I described before. I don't know if I can ask, but I'm curious to know, is the arrangement with Jay and Cisco to pay off the $1,200 at $50 a week, has any payment been made there, or there doesn't need to be because we ended up paying the $18? That bill's all been paid.
Obviously, if you paid it, or, you know, he hasn't been paying $50 on, he wouldn't be paying
He hasn't
$50
paid
on-
Cisco, and he hasn't paid us.
Right.
In his exhibit 102, he asked what was the, we asked what was the repayment plan.
Are those exhibits down there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
I was just trying to locate.
In 102, what's the payment plan gonna be? Because we had no idea. We knew what was owed, but we didn't know payment plan and really no plan to do it. On July 18th, Exhibit 104, it talks about $1,000 earnest money would be a show of good faith. We haven't, to the best of my knowledge, I think, you know, there just wasn't any return communication. I would much rather meet in person so that we can discuss the thing back and forth and the nuances. Scuito chose either text message or email.
But he does have an email there from your wife saying if you'll just pay MGM.
At that point, Denise thought he was dying, was very frustrated, had been in conversation about where business debt falls in.
Did he ever send anything to you asking how much is the MGM bill? He's saying I couldn't pay it because I didn't know how much it was. They wouldn't tell him, it seems to me, that he could have asked.
He could have asked me, could have come and got it from me. I told Randy that Scuito was going to be coming to see them, and then checked back with him a week or so later and said, did Scuito come and see you? Nope, he didn't, and then at that point, that's the time when we decided we would pay the bill, because it was our, it was.
So as far as you know, he didn't even go to MGM.
I don't know. But the,
Anything else?
well, it's the whole idea of our restaurant was set up the way it was set up. Scuito was there temporarily, and when he completed his purchase order, he could do with it anything that he wanted to. But as far as the Ecolab commercial washer, as far as Randy's refrigeration ice machine, those are things that were part of the restaurant. And if for whatever reason this blew up, and at the time we didn't think it would, but of course it did, those are things that we would have, that they were, if you're part of this, then these two things are part of this. Maybe the last and final part of maybe this, and this is this confusion on, my notes to myself indicate that Scuito made $381 times 9. He made 9 payments. This is where the math gets. This is why I tried to keep it as simple as I could. He made 9 payments of $381, which is $34.29. At that time, he thought he had $2,600 in debt. That would give him a credit of $829. The problem was, and as I explained it to him, the reason that we were not in agreement on this thing was that assumes that everything he paid in purchase agreement went towards debt. But then there was nothing in it for us. We didn't get any rent. We didn't get anything for the inventory was used. And so if I factored back into this conversation that same $150 a week times the same 9 payments, it'd be $1,350, and he would have owed us more money than he did. And it didn't talk about the inventory that had been used, that we bought the inventory, he sold it, and the profits went to him. And
But not just the profits, the receipts.
yes, that's what I mean, yeah, receipts.
Difference between
Yeah,
profits and
that's
receipts.
absolutely. And then there also was product. It's not a big deal, but we had left product, and this was actually, one time we had a.
How much inventory do you think was there when he?
See, and that was Scuito was gonna, actually, he was doing us a favor. In all fairness, he was doing us a favor to use up product that we weren't using because our restaurant wasn't open. Go ahead and use it, and he was keeping track of that. And so,
But you were never provided with an accounting.
No.
Is that correct?
no, and so that's why I didn't include it in this particular thing, because those are things that I didn't have receipts for.
Got it. All right, anything else?
No.
Questions? All right, you may step down. Do you have something else you want to say?
I was just
You
going
need
to.
to come back up here. Record should reflect that Denise has some additional budget.
I was just looking through Ross's file, and I just noticed that he does not have the invoices that were Scuito's, which indicated he pretty much had a standard order of dough and sausage and hamburger, and I do have those that are itemized, that are strictly his. I didn't realize that they went in his file. So we can provide solid.
Those invoices show that the total amount was $1821.28. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
You use those invoices to compute that amount. Is that right? Is that right?
I just.
Because he's saying, I know that I owe some, but the amount I owe is $1,281.
Well, does he have the invoices to back up the fact that that's what he owes?
I don't know.
Well, we do.
Well, so that's why I asked the simple question.
Yes. I didn't.
Do the
compute it.
invoices that you have total the $1,821.28?
Yes.
Okay. Questions?
Hmm.
All right, you can step down. And I'm assuming you didn't just pull that figure out of the air.
No. No. No.
All right, Mr. Scuito. Come back up and
I'm not even sure where to rebuttal on everything. I was never terminal with my cancer, only at stage 2. I was never told them that I was terminal. I do have proof on my phone where they wanted to see how I was going to handle treatment and bring in a manager to work from Thursday to Saturday to remain open. So they were never under the impression that I was terminal. I never gave them the impression that I was terminal. We actually made plans that if I was able to handle treatment correct or well enough where I could come back, I was never terminal. And I can introduce that into evidence if I need to, as far as the emails back and forth showing that. The inventory that's in question was food that was going bad, and then they failed to testify that for 3 weeks at the beginning of the agreement, I worked for their Tea with Lillian, doing buffets, things like that. They used up their product, and they received the money for it.
No, we did not.
You had a Chinese buffet, you had breakfast buffet, things like that that they ran under Tea with Lillian. Then whenever Tea with Lillian, then when they decided they were going to stop, I continued to do, I believe, once a week buffet under the Scuito, but that was Chinese, but that was only once a week. For 3 weeks, it was Tea with Lillian, where I came in, I cooked for them, I made the recipes, did everything. Denise was the waitress for it. They received the monies for that, I did not.
well, they're not making any claim for that anyway, so it's.
Well, that was the
Goes a
inventory,
little
that
bit,
was
yeah,
a
it goes a
rebuttal
little
for
bit
that.
maybe toward credibility,
But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to make sure that I rebutted the fact of, as far as where they were saying that I wasn't doing what I said, or that I was terminal, and that's why she sent that email or that
but.
text.
So when were you last there?
The 20... I have to grab my phone, but it was the last
You
one.
had the meeting on April 27th.
Right, and
That's
then
when you
the last
started.
truck was, I believe, the 13th or the 16th of May, and then the week after that, which would put it like the 20th of May.
And you paid $450 payments, is that it? Or did you not?
I paid 2 or 3, and there was one left that was left outstanding of 150.
So you paid $450
Correct.
in rent. All right, anything else?
No.
All right, you may step down. Anything else you guys have?
Yes.
Come forward. Still on the record.
Yes, I'm aware of that, thank you. When Mr. Scuito announced that he was ill, and that he was going to have to go to either Fort Dodge or Omaha or Des Moines for treatments, and I'm not sure whether Ross did, contacted him at various times to see how he was doing. And we're told that it had spread, it was worse. And we're given the indication that it was, as I have previously stated, that this was terminal. With respect to the buffets, those were not only his from the very beginning, and he received the money for those. He used our product and he received the money. That was, yes, I was the one who was bussing the tables and that, which I did just because we still were, the tea room was still viable at that time. But having the buffets was A, his idea, and B, our product, and C, he received the revenues from that. Additionally, all the product, whether it was food product, whether it was cleaning product, whether it was napkins and disposables like toilet paper and that was furnished by us, and he was not asked and never did pay for that. So there were many things, benefits that he was receiving from us that were not factored into additional rent or anything like that. So when he asked to no longer be under a purchase agreement, which really is sort of a joke because he never signed he would not sign the purchase agreement, and then wanted to be on a rental agreement, and that he felt that that wiped the slate clean. We understood that he would be then renting from the beginning rather than a purchase agreement from the beginning. And then there were certain circumstances where he would come in and just, if I asked him something, he would blow up and, okay, I'm quitting. And anyway, the whole thing is financially, he never would sign anything that he was asked. He was not respectful of paying the bills that were his. And the empathy that he got when he came in, and the sympathy that he got from our family and others when he came in saying that he had this serious cancer, played on my affections towards the end, and that's where I finally said, fine, just pay the MGM bill, because it was our reputation, our name, our credit rating that he was ruining.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Questions? All right, do you have anything else you want to say?
I think it's just prolonged, it's just gonna keep going back and forth. I disagree with some of the things that you were saying.
One of the things, you said you had some, I don't know, text messages or emails or something like that, you could provide to the court that would sort of discount her claim that she believed that you were possibly terminal.
Yes.
If you want to try to print those out, provide them to the court, I'll give you an opportunity to do so.
Okay. I don't know how
I am not going to rule on this case today because I just don't feel the best. I'll probably rule a week from today. So, in the meantime, I'll think about it. All right? Any questions from anyone? So we made a record here. I'm going to store this record in cyberspace someplace.
Is it protected from the Russians?
I don't know. I'd hate to think that somebody's going to listen to this transcript and then put a gun in their mouth and put themselves out of their misery. So anyway, that's...
It has been misery. You're absolutely right in that.
Been doing this a long time. I always tell people, if you could settle it yourselves, you're probably not going to, either one of you be very happy, but at least you reached an agreement by submitting it to me. I'm going to make the decision. Everybody's going to have to live with it. Or you can appeal, but that's not going to go anyplace because, my findings of fact will be accepted. But I will make findings of fact. And so you'll have a good idea. There's no real, I'm not going to cite any cases or anything like that in my ruling because it's just a factual question. So.
Do you want those emails, or is that not possible at this, or the bills?
You know, if you want to supplement the record by getting those, you can take them to the clerk's office.
I will do that.
Because, I mean, that is certainly one of the, it's my understanding that you guys claim that you have paid 100% of the stuff that you charged on that account.
We did.
And so the 18, whatever it is strictly for his.
And we had to pay it to continue to get any supplies for ourselves.
I understand that.
Okay.
All right? If you want to provide me with some emails, you can do the same thing. You can go to Magistrate Bush and have my notes in there. We'll go from there.